Over 4 years since the PS5 first entered our homes, Sony's latest console has more than proved itself as a worthy addition to every dedicated gamer's setup. To help prove it, we've put together our definitive list of the 10 best PlayStation 5 games you can play right now, before 2024 comes to an end. Elden Ring. Just when you thought that the designers at From Software had nailed the hardcore action RPG formula they all but established back with Demon Souls, decades later they bring a new take in the intoxicatingly awesome and atmospheric Elden Ring. With background and lore penned by Game of Thrones writer George R.R. Martin, players get to explore an imaginative location called the Lands Between to take on all kinds of deathly enemies and bosses. Its brilliance was once again cemented with the launch of the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC earlier this year, all but confirming that the latest Souls-like from developers From Software is also without question its best, especially when played on PS5. Boulders Gate 3. Fantasy RPGs don't get more epic than Boulders Gate 3. Though originally starting out life in early access on PC, by the time it released on PS5, it's fair to say that Boulders Gate fever had officially taken over the industry. Packed to the rafters with memorable companions to recruit and romance, multiple influential decisions to take, and a continent-spanning journey to sink your teeth into, the ways you can make your mark on the world are nothing short of staggering. Sure, the isometric tactical combat might not be to everyone's tastes, but Boulders Gate 3 picks up the slack in almost every other facet. The controller support is awesome too, hence why PlayStation 5 is an ideal platform to play on. Astrobot. Unequivocally the very best PlayStation 5 exclusive to launch this year, Astrobot is a 3D platformer that exudes joy at every turn. Whether you're deep-sea diving in search of fellow bots that pay tribute to PlayStation history, or role-playing as botified versions of Kratos, Nathan Drake and Aloy themselves, Tina Sobi's magical adventure isn't short on creativity. It's the best evidence we've seen yet this console generation that certain old-school genres can still wow and amaze if handled with enough care. Coupled with excellent DualSense controller haptic support, Astrobot is an amazing way to celebrate PlayStation's legacy. Only available on PlayStation 5. Resident Evil 4. There's a lot of good survival horror remakes floating about on PlayStation these days, but between Dead Space, the recently released Silent Hill 2, and Capcom's retooling of Resident Evil 4, it's the latter that wins out for how well it updates an out-and-out PlayStation 2 masterpiece. The basic bones of Leon Kennedy's mission to rescue the president's daughter by fighting off legions of infective ganados stays the same, but it's rejuvenated using RE Engine graphics, expanded areas, and some brilliant bosses and performances. Resident Evil 4 on PlayStation 5 is Capcom at its very best. Spider-Man 2. How do you improve on perfection? That's the question the talented folks over at Insomniac Games must have asked when faced with following up its excellent 2018 superhero hit, the simply titled Marvel's Spider-Man. Well, by giving equal focus to Miles Morales, treating both Spider-Men to expanded power sets, and bundling in one of Spidey's coolest ever villains in Venom, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 more than matches the high-flying excellence of its predecessor. Swinging and gliding through a fully realized New York City is never not a joy, made even better when wrapped around a thrilling plot and characters you genuinely can't help but care about. Needless to say, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is a true PlayStation 5 treat. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. Still one of the most impressive technical showcases of the PlayStation 5's inherent power, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart takes an old-school series of platformers and brings it up to date for the modern generation of consoles. The duo's latest adventure sees them jump from planet to planet in the effort to find each other once again. In the process, you'll get to wield all kinds of creative weapon types, taking on countless baddies while solving a generous number of environmental puzzles. New to the cast is Ratchet's fellow Lombax Rivet, who makes her debut as a new playable character with an equal amount of cunning and heart. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart might not be the newest PlayStation 5 game on this list, but it continues to be one of the best. Returnal. AAA roguelikes are still a rarity these days, but ready and willing to satiate this unique appetite is Housemarque's utterly excellent sci-fi shooter, Returnal. You play as Celine, a stranded astronaut on a lost world whose only way of getting off-planet is to explore and survive through different biomes and bosses, likely dying over and over again in the process. Returnal may have originally launched in 2021, but such a unique setup and premise still makes it one of the PS5's best that is severely hard to put down and fulfilling to keep on picking away at. Even if roguelike shooters aren't traditionally your thing, Returnal is well worth diving into. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Square Enix's mission to split a classic PlayStation 1 RPG into one lavish PlayStation 5 trilogy that is equal parts gorgeous and ambitious continued in early 2024 with the launch of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. In it, Cloud's adventure to find and confront Sephiroth continues following the events of Final Fantasy VII Remake, only this time players can explore areas outside the walls of Midgard such as Kalm, Junon and the Gold Saucer. Rebirth is a lot more open than the game before it, in case you hadn't already guessed, introducing a lot more variety by way of tactical combat options and the return of beloved characters. It's by far one of the best action RPGs on PlayStation 5. God of War Ragnarok. The reinvention of God of War is an impressive lesson in how to adapt the scale of an established world while still staying true to your characters. God of War Ragnarok continues to explore Kratos' new role of a father struggling to fight against his natural instincts as a former God of War, all while introducing new characters, new combat mechanics, and new worlds to explore. Although also playable on PlayStation 4, this follow-up adventure truly soars on Sony's current console, taking advantage of the console's high-res visuals and next to no loading. Combined with an excellent story and satisfying melee combat, God of War Ragnarok is a premier experience on PlayStation 5. Horizon Forbidden West. The story of Aloy continues in the bigger and better robot dinosaur hunting sequel Horizon Forbidden West, which adds even more beasts to take down and new regions to explore on PS5. This time, the warrior hunter's journey of self-discovery takes her to the western zone of the post-apocalypse, where she faces fresh villains and is gifted with even more ways to get around that truly sees developer Guerrilla blow the roof off 2017's original Horizon Zero Dawn. Even now, over 2 years on from its release, Horizon Forbidden West is one of the most gorgeous and mechanically in-depth titles on PS5 you can play, cementing the open world franchise's place as a jewel in the wider PlayStation crown. So there you have it in terms of our top 10 PlayStation 5 games that you can play right now. Do you agree with our list? Let us know in the comment section below. Then when you've done that, feel free to leave this video a like if you enjoyed it, and consider subscribing to the Mirror Gaming YouTube channel to stay up to date with even more videos like this. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.